Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. That means it's time for Outlawed Live. My name's Ron Stone, here with my trusted companion, Mike Idle. How's it going, Mike?
Doing great. How's everything in Kansas, Ron?
Everything is going good. Everything's going good. A lot of stuff to report on. We got a guest tonight. Coming up on a big weekend. This is the championship weekend, if you will.
Yep.
Nine classes, I think, is what I figured that we were going to determine the points on this weekend in Spencer, Iowa. Of course, some of those classes competing in Bedford on Saturday as well. So a huge weekend. I mean, it'll only leave 4 classes out there without a point champion yet. And those classes, of course, will be determined down in Lufkin, Texas in late October. But big weekend, State Line Showdown Saturday, and the Clay County Fair in Spencer, Iowa on Sunday. And we'll crown 9 outlaw points champions there on Sunday afternoon. So big weekend. How was your weekend, Mike?
It was a lot of fun. You know, we got to get back out pulling again. Hadn't been pulling in a while, but Unionville, Buckner, 2 pulls that are kind of in my neighborhood-ish. So, we got to go pulling in Missouri. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, it's pretty close to home for you and not far from me as well.
No,
Mike.
Buckner, that's kind of your satellite campus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right there close. That's within an hour of me, Unionville, just a few hours away. So, yeah, easy travels this past weekend. And actually, the State Line Showdown on Saturday, really not that far from either one of us, closer to you, I think. But, of course, Spencer, it's up there a little ways. The big one coming up is Lufkin, Texas in late October. We're got to try. Are you going to that one, by the way?
It's not on. Here's what I keep telling people. At the beginning of the year, I told everyone I'm back in school. I need to be focused on my real job. I said I better not go to that one. So it's not on my schedule. But after the summer I've had, I kind of start winking at folks and being like, if you need a little extra help, I've never been to Texas. So I'm not scheduled to go. But you wouldn't have to twist my arm too hard. That one is really starting to shine on the schedule for me. I'd like to check that out.
That's a big one, Mike. It's a real, if you're very patriotic, if you're a patriotic person, that's an awesome event too. They always have a live concert, a big act out of either Texas or Nashville. Of course, they favor the Texas acts, but it's always a big name. And then they have the semi drags on the drag strip. It actually takes place at a drag strip. The truck show, the truck and tractor pull. There's just always, and all the vendors. It's such a cool atmosphere, and it's all for veterans charities, Mission 22 specifically, and the Wyakin Foundation. 100% of the monies go to those charities to benefit our veterans. Big news on that pull too. In addition to pro stock tractors, super modified 2-wheel drives, modified tractors, and limited pro diesel pickups, they have now added the Pro Stock 4x4 class. Will not be a points hook. Once again, not a points hook by rule. We can't add points hooks after May 15th of that particular year. But they wanted to bring in the Pro Stock 4x4s again. So shout out to all those Pro Stock 4x4 guys that hit me up this summer. Said they really wanted to go to that pool. Here you go. You'll get paid. You just won't get points for it. The points for that class will be finished after this coming Sunday in Spencer, Iowa. So,
gives them a month off to kind of rest and recuperate. And just about the time they might start getting a little antsy, we can dangle a little bragging rights cash in front of them. You might have a pretty good turnout for the, destination pull like that. We might see the pro stock trucks come down and put on a good show down there.
I'm hoping, Mike, that we can get some of those Texas guys that run pro stock 4x4. Their rule a touch different. They have an RPM limitation in their points or in their rule book. But some of those guys finished pretty well down there a couple of years ago when we mixed them up. So, it was still a fun pull. A lot of those guys finished in the money. So, hello from Jimmy Dean's Niobrara, Nebraska. Robert Miner checking in. Austin Luke checking in from Larchwood, Iowa. Robert Miranda. Robert Miner, hello. Oh, that doesn't look like a Robert, Mike. I'm sorry.
I think we can figure out what's going on there.
Cole Lindahl, evening from
Cole, how you doing, bud?
Cole Lindahl doing a good job out there posting a lot of outlaw stuff on the internet. I'm on Facebook and social media. So we got one guest coming in tonight. I figured we were going to talk plenty about Spencer. Of course, Spencer, once again, not a 2-session event this year. They always have 2 tracks. We always run 1 track in one session, take it like an hour or 2 break, come back and run the other track, and it stretches the day out really long. So we put the suggestion to them, hey, let's run them together, same time, 2 sleds, 2 tracks, and your fans can get double, everything for their money, and you can get them back out on the midway after that as well. So they liked it. We're going to try it this year. 1 session, 2 tracks, 2 sleds. Going to be a great show there, as well as Saturday night. So I don't know what we'll do with a Friday night open this week, Mike. Friday night off, I guess. Lori Bauer checking in here. Hey, Lori. So State Line Showdown coming up on Saturday. Now, that show starts at 4. The outlaw portion of the show does not. Northwest Missouri tractor pullers pulling at 4. I'm going to be announcing that part of the show as well.
Okay.
Then at 6, we go into the outlaw show. After that, the very next day, once again, Spencer, I want to give you the times on all these. Oh, Lori checked in. She said the Lufkin signups are open now. So if you want to sign up for Lufkin pullers on the app, it is open. Thanks, Lori, for checking in and letting us know that. Cool. So Bedford for us starts at 6, as I said, but the Northwest show starts at 4. Then in Spencer, that show starts at 1 o'clock. So pullers can get in there and probably be out of there by 4 o'clock and be home. And that way they can go to work the next morning, get back to harvest. So 6 o'clock Friday, or 6 o'clock Saturday, 1 o'clock Sunday. Yeah, Robert Miranda keeps trying to check in here, Mike. That's really weird.
Yeah, just gonna have to leave them. I'm not confident. I'm just gonna say we're gonna have to leave that individual over here on the undisplayed side. No, a 6 o'clock show followed by a Sunday afternoon session reminds me of the days of old, and when you would have those Sunday afternoon session pulling, something you'd see at your really big events, from time to time. Double down on this weekend, folks. If you can't attend these pulls live, what a cool way to experience it with outlawpulling.tv. You'll get your 6 o'clock show, possibly as soon as 4 o'clock show on Saturday to watch a little bonus pulling, and then turn right around and just double dip, watch your NFL countdown. And then instead of the football game, put on the pull in Spencer, and you're going to get a lot of pulling in a 24-hour time frame.
Speaking of countdown, we cannot go over tonight, Mike. We cannot go over. I know myself, I want to see the debate tonight. I don't know if you're planning on watching that or not. Are you a political guy?
I am. You know what? I know what I stand for. I know where my heart falls, and I try not to. I turn to you. Last time we hung out, I had to ask you. You explained things for me. So, but I might turn it on.
Yeah, I just I want to see how it goes there.
Sure.
So,
sure. We have a hard deadline at 8 o'clock.
That's right. No record shows tonight, but tonight, at 7:15 tonight, we are going to have Brent Roberts on. He's going to come on in. Sure. Of course,
he was doing some work I saw on his personal social media. It looks like they were doing some work up there to that track at Bedford, and very proud of some of the things they'd accomplished, and looking forward to picking his brain and talking about that. So, no, cool dude.
You can't judge that track off of last year's pull because of that big downpour we had like 10 minutes before the show last year.
It was a really weird thing. Yeah, that was one of those isolated. Like, I heard it wasn't raining to the east or west. It just hit the track out of nowhere. And did they give the pullers the option, and they kind of voted class by class as to who wanted to pull and who didn't? Is that how that broke down?
Yeah, we kind of did. We gave the pullers, we let them discuss whether they wanted to go ahead and go. And we ended up going with 1 track. Normally it's a 2-track pull because of some of the classes that bowed out. And it still wasn't, the track conditions weren't great. It was pretty slick, especially at the starting line. But that track normally is a biting track. It normally has a lot of bite to it. So, use the low gears up there for anybody that hasn't gone there before. That is a biting track. So hopefully the weather looks like it's going to cooperate. I haven't seen anything saying otherwise. Weather's supposed to be great. But hopefully we'll have that good biting track there again. We may be pulling there a few classes at their county fair next year there in Bedford, Iowa in 2025. Just saying for next year. Roger Rui checking in. Thanks for watching, Roger and the Rue crew. So yeah, I didn't get all of my all these things done tonight. Of course, I want to put these on here, these flyers for the pulls this weekend. This, of course, is Saturday. And classes, I guess we should say what classes are there too as well, right, Mike?
Yeah, on our outlaw side of things, and it's kind of interesting. I'd like to peek in and look a little bit more at that Northwest Missouri State Tractor Pullers Association. They've got some good iron. That's a fun kind of up and coming association that I hear a lot of good things about. So we'll get to see some bonus pulling with them too.
Yeah, they have a Pro Street diesel pickup class, which is a 2.6 turbo class. Pro Farm tractor class, Super Field, and they have a hot rod tractor class, which is a single engine type class, carbureted hot rod tractor. That organization been around for quite a while.
Yep.
Let me go back to that. The Outlaw show will have modified 4-wheel drives, 540 Light Pro, Limited Pro diesel pickups, light Limited Pro stock tractors, Limited Pro stock tractors, Pro stock 4x4s, 10,000 Pro stocks, and Pro stock semis, of course, there at Bedford. Spencer, Iowa on Sunday, our classes will be modified 4-wheel drive, 540 Light Pro, diesel super stocks, light Limited Pro, Limited Pro, light super stock, ag, Pro 4x4, and Super Farm.
And let's look at this closely. Every single class. So nobody's wrapping up points Saturday night in Bedford.
Nope.
But every single class, because the four that are going to Lufkin are your pro stock tractors, your mods, your 2-wheelers, and then your 3.0 diesel trucks. None of them are there at Spencer. So is
I take that back. Let's correct myself on that. Answering your question, the semis, Spencer.
Semis. We will crown a champion. Okay, so we'll crown a champion in Bedford with the pro stock semis. And then to make all your notes, Ron, I don't know if this is going to make your notes super simple or crazy hectic, but every single class pulling at Spencer will crown a champion for the season. Is that right?
Yes.
So you're going to be that you'll be in the production trailer early that day, getting your printouts.
Yeah, I have all my notes and everything in order. Yes.
Yeah. So every single class will crown a champion.
That is true.
Yep.
And one champion at Bedford. So we got this worked out here. We're good to go.
Oh yeah.
So I did have a couple of graphics I wanted to throw up. I didn't get all of these finished yet for the show. But we did crown 6 more champs of the Organics Midwest Summer Sweep. Super modified 2-wheel drive. Check out
I was looking at this right before I came on. Half a point, because of course, as we've talked about on this show, you take the average on a 2-day session, and that's where you end up with those half points in there. So Robert Morris, half a point over Don Nelson, and 3.5 points then over Don Nelson in the 3rd place truck, or 3 points over him in the 3rd place truck. But half a point, Ron, that's getting right. That's literally as close as it can get in that Organics Midwest Summer Sweep.
If you look at those top 5 there, 4 of the top 5 all out of Texas, 3 out of one team. Whippet, Texas Bullwhip, Little Whip, all from the same team. The High Cotton, of course, out of Texas as well in the number 5 spot. Pro stock tractors. This one was close too, and look how this flip-flopped. A lot of green went into the weekend, went into Unionville. Gone. Look at the Gone jumped up to the top.
Cody had a good weekend. I think Cody really made some gains and obviously walked away with it right here. But yeah, 4 points separate the top 3 and 1 point between the top 2. That's big time pulling.
Yeah, that the Wampus Cat there even got by. A lot of green took a tumble just from it was so close you couldn't get a bad finish at that last hook, and that's kind of what happened to Kyle Karstens. He held that lead through most of the season. So congratulations to those guys, and we'll get those other graphics up for those winners of the sweep on social media, and we'll talk about them next week on the show as well. So I'm going to get to our comments here, Mike. We got more people checking in. Blaine Thornton is watching. Lori Bauer.
Yep.
Going to have all my stuff ready, Mike. For
she will too. She'll be.
And Lori's correcting you too. I did too. I don't know if you heard me. You said Robert Morris, but it was.
Did I really? Oh, Richard Morris. My apologies. I'm bad about that, and I do it online. At least I don't think I do it when I'm announcing, but I'll make more slips online. I get to talking too fast. I've called Marty Selman. I messed up his name online. So yeah, Richard, my apologies, but I don't have my script in front of me.
Robert Morris, wasn't he like the big tobacco guy that owned all the big tobacco companies?
That's Philip Morris.
Oh, Philip Morris. There you go.
Yeah. I don't know, folks. Comment in this. Who the heck is Robert Morris? So if you can leave us a comment in the section over here.
So some notes for pullers out there in Outlaw Nation. Pullers, don't forget, if you have a child or anybody in your family, anybody you know that is looking for a scholarship, have them fill out the scholarship paperwork. It's on the website, outlawpulling.com. And you never know, they may get a scholarship from the Outlaws. A lot of the Outlaw pullers and families they give a lot of money in that auction at the banquet, Mike. And that's where all that scholarship money comes from. And there's also a continuing education scholarship. There's 2 different forms, so make sure you fill out the right one. There's a continuing education scholarship as well. Also the banquet dates, that's the weekend right before Thanksgiving. And make sure you sign up for the bowling tournament, get your team ready and sign up for that. Also, Spencer, this Sunday is the deadline. If you have a rules suggestion or rules proposal, get that proposal to your class rep by Sunday. That's the deadline. After Sunday, it will not be considered. So we've been talking about this for several weeks now to make sure, and I think we've even brought it up in drivers meetings, make sure that pullers get those proposals in by Spencer. Dale Bartels, Outlaw announcer, says he messes up Dirk Burley. Is that Burley? Is that how you say that? Looks like Burley to me.
Be like the first time I had Frank Boaboy written down in front of me, trying to announce that live. Never seen it before. That one was quite the curveball for me.
Yeah. So everybody out there watching tonight, the season's getting close to the end here. What's been your favorite part of the season? What's been the highlight of your season? What was the favorite pull that you went to this year? Chime in, let us know. Mark J. Ham checking in. Hello, Mark. How's it going? I'm assuming, Mark, you're going to be around this weekend, maybe at Bedford, maybe at Spencer. And I want to check out the app here. And of course, folks, if you don't have the app, shame on you. Number one, it's so easy. It's free and it's easy.
It's free. It honestly changed the way that I interacted with pulling and the way that I experienced the Outlaws. When I downloaded this about 2 years ago, I was like, man, this is a game changer.
Got a lot of Pro Stock 4x4s signed up for Saturday. We've got 14 so far. Couple of mod 4-wheel drives signed up. Charlie Miller and Mike Williams signed up there.
Haven't seen a lot out of Charlie Miller this season.
I think this will be the first time we actually see him.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Light Limited Pros, got 7 of those signed up. Pro Stock got 4. Of course, it's only Tuesday. But guys, get in there and get signed up. Limited Pro diesel pickups. Cole Nadrigal, lessons learned. Haven't seen him much this year. Nate Bridgman, same thing. Megatron, of course, Megatron moved into the lead in points and extended his points lead over. Help me out here. I'm reading and trying to think at the same time. Skylar Leaper.
Yeah,
Has a 3-point lead over him now. So
the legal limits truck. Ron, what have been some of your, jaw-dropping moments or big narratives? What kind of just hops into your brain when you look back at the 2024 season?
Just maybe how dominant a couple tractors were that came out, and not that they weren't. Defending points champ in Limited Pro Stock.
I think, yeah. And he kind of put the icing on the cake with his pass that he had there in Unionville this weekend too, with a walk-off win that was just pretty as punch, and kind of said, this is what I do, folks.
And that new tractor, he's done that a few times where he's just put, 20, 30 plus speed on the field. And it's like, wow, this thing is just a monster. That one. Cameron Neves, that tractor is finally hitting its stride now with, the tire change.
They said they felt like they'd been due, and he felt like there wasn't a single thing he could have done different to his motors or his setup or his driving style. And the piece of the puzzle, he felt like the tractor had always been there. And he said Bloomfield, Iowa, when he debuted the new tires, it was just like they caught lightning in a bottle, and they've never looked back since. So have they won a points championship to their credit in the past handful of years, or could this are they chasing their first time here?
I'd have to go to my stats.
I don't know either.
It would have been pre me. That's before I was with the Outlaws. If they have, I know I have those stats in my book, but I'm not sure if they've won a points championship. Scott Hill said he's going to be there at Bedford pulling the hypertension hot rod mod with Bedford with the Northwest Missouri Tractor Pullers Association. Cool. I've seen that mod pull before. What stood out to you this year? What's the one thing you're going to be thinking about this fall when you wish you could be pulling?
So two things. One's a single pass and one's an entire event. I'd never been to Rock Valley, Iowa before, Thunder in the Valley, and that had always been a bucket list event of mine. And then I remember right where I was when you and I were talking up there in Manila, Iowa, and you were telling me about just the extent of the flooding, and it was like a month away. And we just kind of were like, that's not going to happen, So just the way that came together and was still an event that was a destination pull, and just the quality of it was second to none. Really, really is something I'm going to take with me for a long time. And then the other one was just a single pass, and it was Gage Ott pulling 418 feet in Pawnee City, Nebraska, to knock off his big brother and take home maybe his first or second win of the season en route to a points championship. Our most viewed video on the internet to this moment is that 418-foot mega pass of his. So Rock Valley, and then that crazy one out the back door for Gage Ott were the two things that are really standing out to me so far.
So I'm going to go in and look here. Let's see. Because Fred Petch says Cotton Candy has been a class champion.
Okay.
So I'm going to try.
And Fred, let's take, while we're doing this, Fred, I want to reach out to you. One of the most helpful things for me this season, Fred gave us the stack of all those old programs to start the season off there in Ravenna. And I swear my son treats that like his good night book. We flip through those every single night. And it's seriously to look at the narratives and to learn your previous points champions. So I've got the records back to like 2016 or something like that. And off the top of my mind, that one is I don't remember him coming up there. Here we go right here.
Yep.
Cameron says 2004. Kurt wants to know about my trip to Wayne, Nebraska. That was let's just talk about, first of all, just the pull itself, Kurt, Wayne is an incredible venue, and it's a place that I hope continues to build. And Ron, I know that was it felt to me that was one of the shows that we did together. And every once in a while, from an announcer's point of view, it feels like we just go up there and have fun. And that was one of those nights where it was just a good old fashioned. It felt like you and I just had a good time announcing that poll. That was a really fun one to be around. But yeah, Kurt, I think Kurt's alluding to my motorhome that was in the proud. If it was a pulling vehicle, we would say I was in the proud gear. It just ran out of power, and we still don't know why. But
I heard it was we do know. It's Kurt said it was something in the ignition, and actually it cost like $128 at the shop to fix it. So.
Last I heard, they just drove it back to Rock Valley and it was fine. And I'm like, please find something wrong with it, because I don't want to look like a fool, claiming that. So,
well, the outcome was a lot better than the assumption that was made that day. So
True. Absolutely.
Went south. So,
but yeah,
Cameron
that
Neves,
was
20-year gap for Cameron Neves from between
2004.
championships here.
Wow,
If we
that's
could seal the
cool.
deal on this one. So,
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Beeson checking in, saying good evening, Kenny Beeson. What's happening? So yeah, my records I have here only go back to 2013. What I have,
Yeah.
so I didn't see him in there. So that's something I would like to do with the Outlaws is get all the historical stuff together and like keep it record keeping for the future.
Yeah.
You know, even beyond you and I.
Yeah.
As
No,
the Outlaws
absolutely.
keeps going, you know, at least all that historical knowledge will be there for future generations. So.
No, an endeavor very much worth tackling, and something that fans, you know, I'm learning with I was always this way as a fan, but the more social media I get into, folks love to look backwards as much as they love to look forwards in pulling. I've been on kind of a personal passion project where I've been posting up some old pictures that I've come across. Yep. People love to look back. And if you can keep detailed records of who was what and what year, I mean, that's, you know, you get that stuff archived. That people like that.
Mark Ham says he has programs all the way back to 2007. So
yeah,
you and I don't have anything that goes back that far, but that's cool.
I think 16. I think I've got like 15 or 16 up to 2024 somewhere in there. You said you've got what, 13, 11 or 13?
13 so is as far back.
2013.
I think that's what I have, maybe back there. Some of the older programs, like in the mid-teens, will actually have a section in it where it goes back and shows who won the points in a different
Yes,
class.
it does. I have seen that. I do have a couple downstairs. You're right, where it's flipped all the way, because there have been some names in there you kind of raise your eyebrows at and you say, I didn't know he ran Outlaw, or, you know, they've got some funny stuff going on. Yeah. A lot of interesting things happened in the early 2000s when pulling, I feel like, took a real major shift and there was kind of a changing of the guard. Names like Brent Long, you know, his name gets sprinkled in there around that time with the Outlaws. And it's kind of funny to flip through there and piece the stories together.
His name kind of got sprinkled in over the weekend too, with the return of
yes, it did.
Texas Bullwhip.
Not only that, but with the Plowboy Express walk-off win, I have been told that is the original. Motor, that is like you know, ground zero #1. So yeah, a couple of I didn't think about that, Ron. We saw a couple of long machines in Buckner this weekend.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see the Bullwhip back. The Texas Bullwhip. And I've seen a few things different on the motor. I've seen some plug on the coil on plug coils going on there, and I didn't get a chance to talk. Didn't get a chance to talk to hardly anybody puller wise at the events over the weekend, but was just busy. But Cody Skluzacek checking in from Minnesota. Thanks for tuning in. And our only guest tonight is really late, so I wonder if he has forgot about us, Mike. So I'm going to send him a message.
Sure.
Let's go over the weekend here. Let's start in Unionville. You know what? I just want to look at points. Let's look at points real quick because I think we had some changes, some moves in points.
Well, we've got one that surprised me, and it's not necessarily from this weekend, but I've been a little behind. I just pulled up for my driver we're going to talk about in a little bit later on when the smoke clears. And now I look like a genius because I look like I planned this out. But it looks like there has been a little bit of a shift.
Yeah.
Maybe after South Dakota in the LLP that I wasn't totally squared up with. So that's kind of neat.
Well, the drops came out. Now, just so everybody knows, the Outlaws, depending on how many hooks that class has, you get so many hooks or so many drops for a number of hooks. I can't remember the exact numbers, but for the most part, most get a 2 drops for the most part. And you can drop your lowest your lowest points total from an event. So if you have a bad hook, you can drop that bad hook. If you miss one, you of course can drop that 0 if you miss an event. But the modified tractors and the super modified 2-wheel drives, the program hasn't dropped the 2 bad hooks from those 2 classes. So they'll have to do that later. Now, the pullers themselves, they can go in and do that themselves if they want. And probably we could do it too if we just do it manually.
Yeah.
But the computer was fooled and can't figure out why it can't drop them whenever we had Washington and DeLeon going at the same time. So that's why it was having trouble with that, the 2-wheel drive and the mod. So the other classes are absolutely correct, but the mods and two-wheel drives have not corrected with those drops. So, Brian,
so what you're saying is AI is not taking over the world just yet. For now, we're safe.
Yeah, not yet.
They can't. It doesn't understand one class, two locations. So for now, we're okay.
Don't get me started down that road, Mike.
I know
politics. So
you can save it all up for the debate tonight, and then you and the TV can talk to each other. So,
Brian, getting your chiming in. So yeah, the history is super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to be responsible and hang on to all that history, not let it get away from us, and then try to figure out who won this and where. And that's Dan Mayer does a great job with.
He is the premier. I think he's one of those that if you have an obscure question, text Dan. There's a good chance he's probably got the knowledge on that. But yeah, no, you want to keep track. And you're right, Ron. Things change quickly. I posted up a picture today of a tractor from 1992, and I just was certain by reading the sheet metal on the side of it that I knew whose tractor that was. And the internet is great too, because people get on there and they say, well, that team actually sold that tractor in that year, and kind of updated me on that. And if you don't pay attention to those little things, it can get away in a hurry. So archiving it and documenting it, very important as we move forward.
So let's look at some of those changes that we were just talking about. And you were talking about Light Limited Pro, and yes, dirt slinging demonstrator Andrew Meister got ahead of Spare Time after Madison, South Dakota.
He's had a good season. He just has. I mean, Andrew's one of those. I always feel like there's two kind of ways to describe a good driver, or two ways to win a championship. You have the guys who win a lot, and then you have the war of patrician guys who are just steady top five. And Andrew Meister feels like one of those that just can shoot from the hip and walk away with a win at any point. He's a winner. So he's racked up some wins this season.
5-point lead over Brady Gosler. So it's not over yet.
No, and I'm if full pool bets or full pool wager or full pool picks is coming into that LLP class, I'm staying away from that, because that one's going to be way too hard to figure out who's going to walk away victorious in that one. So,
I drove Meister's tractor at Spencer a couple of years ago. I wonder if he'd let me drive it this year at Spencer.
Weren't you responsible for moving it maybe in the incorrect direction in points or something like that? I don't know
if I'm directly responsible. I kind of that. But yeah, it was pretty close between second and third, and he went in there in second and left Spencer in third. So yeah, I don't know. I like to blame it on the tractor. I think there was something.
Yeah, say, look, man, the driver, you can't ask for any more from the driver. Oh man.
Andrew must have long arms, because when I was strapped in that seat, man, and I've got long arms, and I really had to reach to get that throttle as far forward as it would go. So just saying, that was, I'm not sure if he's tightly strapped into a seat to reach out there and push that throttle all the way forward, because I had to really reach out there with it. But that's right. Driver did his job.
Driver did his job. Oh man.
But who was I working for? That's the question. Was I working for?
Oh, true. Yeah, interesting.
No, it was fun, and I appreciated it. But no, congratulations to him for taking the lead. But it's up to him to hang on to it.
Who else we got making big moves over here, Ron?
Big moves?
Other classes where things have shaken up lately.
Well, let's look at some close ones here. Two-wheel drive. Buffalo's Chips is a 5-point leader over Donald Nelson's Whippet right now. So that one's close. Probably going to continue to be close. Four-wheel drive, man, that one's it's so much. Ryan Thornton could take a break from one event this weekend if he wanted to.
There's a narrative. He's written a full, sometimes pullers just start the year and just kind of never look back. And it's almost obvious about a third of the way into the season. That's been the backdraft truck this year. I mean, there have been a lot of good pullers, and that's a tough class to win, but he's never once kind of fallen out of favor or had a bad run. He's bookended this season pretty consistently.
28-point lead over his dad, of all people, Lane Thornton. 28-point lead. Now, 28 points is exactly the points total you get for winning a pool with the Outlaws. Is 28. So he could literally, miss. If he does good on Friday, he could literally miss, or Saturday, he could literally miss Sunday, or vice versa. But I don't doubt if he'll take that chance. 3-0 diesel pickups, 3-point difference between first and second.
That's been a fun back and forth because Skyler was sitting up on the precipice of that one for a good long while this season. And of course, Wayman coming off a second place finish last year where he was one hook away from potentially winning the points championship. So he's kind of got a vendetta on his shoulder. That's been a fun dogfight between those guys.
He's trying to do something that, hasn't been done before. And he's winning both points races that he's pulling in with the Outlaws and with the Champions League Western Series.
Yeah.
So,
to grab two in a single season.
That's pretty cool. That if he can do
Ryan DeBrew. The only reason I know this is because we had a special podcast on it. Ryan DeBrew for NTPA and PPL won the super stock or hot rod semis, depending on what the association calls them, last year. He took NTPA and PPL both last year. I'm not going to get in the nuts and bolts of that because they might have 6 to 8 hooks this season. So I'm not going to talk about which one's harder or not harder because I'm not a puller. But I'm going to say if Wayman pulls this off, what he's pursuing this season, it's going to be really impressive.
Speaking of impressive, Keith Hammond's 35-point lead over second place. I mean, just a dominant performance by him this year with bipolar and Pro Stock 4x4.
Keith has been so much fun to talk to and just listen because you can learn a lot about truck and tractor pulling just listening to the way Keith describes a track and describes his process. I've probably learned more about the sport from that man than I've learned a lot from a lot of people, but that guy knows what he's doing.
Rugrat Rampage and Constant Chaos there. And those are teammates, out of South Dakota. They're only 3 points away from each other. Eric Clark and Rackham only a couple points out of second. I think they broke a crank, if I remember right. So I'm not sure if they'll be out this weekend or not. 540's hooking both events this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's a close one. Let's see. Limited Pro Stock. There you go. Another dominant performance from George Fire.
George is the man. George is
34-point differential between first and second. Of course, Dave Novak in second. He just won the Limited Pro Stock in the Holganics Midwest Summer Sweep. Wrapped that up. Seth driving the tractor for him over the weekend.
And if you look at each of the next 5 tractors behind Side Piece, you're looking at all 6 of these are tractors that are National Farm Machinery Show invite quality tractors. I mean, the 4-1 class with the Outlaws is incredible. So he's not only winning, but he is staving off truly, in my opinion, some of the best 4-1s in the country. So that's, even makes it more impressive what he's doing there in that class.
Yeah, and he ran somewhat conservatively as far as he kind of protected the tractor. He didn't run in the region. Like a lot of these guys went ahead and ran the region as well. And he sat the region out and just went to the National Series hooks. But the tractor is definitely a monster in Limited Pro Stock. A light Super Stock, Frank Bolboy leading that race by 30 points over Alan Omer. Green Lightning represented us at
National last year,
this past year, but was actually in February of this year.
Yeah, it's funny how we almost look at that as like the previous season. We look at it as like the end of a season instead of like the start of a season because you're kind of going off what you did that year. Frank Bowboy came out early in the season and grabbed a couple of wins early on, and I even remember writing this up in one of my articles or something, and I said, in a class where, there's not always numbers, grabbing those victories early is going to pay dividends late. And so he just kind of bookended the season and took care of business. But I do think winning in Ravenna and winning early on helped him build that cushion that he's kind of comfortably carried throughout the year.
Yeah, light Super Stock Ag, Corey Schluter has a considerable lead there, 19 points over Jeremy Paulson. The Barn Burner has been just that all season.
Absolutely.
Been an awesome runner all year in light Super Stock Ag. They come out and pulled with the Alky Burners.
They did.
Good job.
And I respected what they did. Carrollton, Missouri is right up the road. They're very close to home. but I really tipped my cap to him because how easy would it have been to say, hey, I'm leading points right now. I might not want to put another run on this tractor, but he can't. That's what pullers do. Like pullers want to pull. And if there's a place they can hook, and it turned that class into a mixed fuel class. And I tell you what, Ron, those 3 light super ag boys, the 3 diesel boys, they finished in the thick of things.
Yep. And I was surprised when I saw them pulling in there at Buckner on Saturday. I was like, we're not having light super ag here. And I saw both semis pull in and yeah, they jumped in there and pulled with the Alkies and did a good job. Yes, Pro stock tractors, Cody Yarrick now in the lead, trying to make it two seasons in a row there with the Gone.
That's maybe the most interesting story in the biggest change recently. That kind of felt there for a while. Like Lotta Green was just, kind of had things under control. And so for Cody to make the moves that he did after this weekend, that's getting neat in a hurry. Yeah.
8 points separating first and second. Carson's down in second. Wampus Cat 7 more points back. Then Red Iron fourth, Gangrene fifth. And of course that one, not only pulling this weekend, but they pull down in Lufkin, Texas. That one's not over.
Because don't forget Lufkin is a 2-session show. So for all our viewers out there, a lot of times, like, you might just think, oh, Lufkin, that's 2 days. That's 56 potential points to be gobbled up down there. So a lot of moves can be made.
You said you weren't a mathematician, Mike. You said you taught me. That was quick, buddy.
Man, I'm getting it figured out.
Super Farm, Weisenkamp. In a pretty good position here with Someday. He has 388 points to the Red Rocks 375.5. So a 12.5 points separating first and second. The Bruley Bucket third, Dakota Deer fourth, and Danger Species down there in fifth. Chad Weisenkamp, if he can be, not make any big mistakes this weekend, he's going to win the Super Farm points. But modified tractors, we talked about this earlier. Cameron Neves has a 30-point lead over Wayne Longneck of the River.
He's starting to build that cushion. I mean, he said after he put the tires on, he's won like 8 of 11 or 9 of 12 or something. So, I mean, that's you can imagine it's not insurmountable, but directions are trending. It's kind of his race to be in control of right now.
Brent Roberts leading the semis. Of course, that's, he's going to end that one at his hometown event there that he puts on there in Bedford. Interesting. That semi class, Mike. Brent keeps telling me he knows some guys that are building right now and fully expects to have at least 2 or 3 more semis out next year. So we may have 6 or 7 out next year.
The fans want it. I mean, if you want it just as simple as this, if you want to put butts in seats, if you want to hook long-term pullers, get those 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, build those core memories, put the semis out there. That's the fans love to see that. And if you want to bring new ones, that's the class that can take us to the next level. I really believe that.
Well, we looked at points. We didn't look at results. Let's look at results. I sent a message to Brent. I'm not sure what happened there, but he's not answering me right now. So he might be out there working on the track or something and lost track.
Life happens sometimes.
But let's go back to Friday night, this past Friday night, and look at results from Unionville, Missouri. Limited pro stock. Of course, we talked about the side piece. Had that walk-off win there, brought the crowd to their feet. That was interesting, too. Tyler and Brent Paddock, father and son, finished second and third.
1/100th? 1/100th of a foot. Yeah, I heard you say that, but I didn't process it till I'm looking at. So you think those two vehicles are set up pretty similarly?
Yeah, I think maybe by the same builder, but yeah, I think that's 1/100th is like 1/8 of an inch, but the side piece just 33, almost 34 feet. He put on second place.
Yeah,
incredible. All right, I see Brent Roberts. He's backstage. He just came out of makeup. We're going to bring him on right now. Brent Roberts, how's it going, buddy?
Well, not too bad. Sorry, we've been working at the fairgrounds here, and I kind of lost track of time. So
that's exactly what I just said.
21.
So, yeah, that's kind of the deal.
It was in
But yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. We still got some time here. So,
Hey, where are you guys going?
how many years? You got some camera shy folks there. They don't want to be on
Yeah,
camera.
hold on here. I got, yeah, they're back here. See them? Look at them all. You know that guy?
Can't see.
You're on the internet, folks. Wave hi.
Hey,
wave
hey,
at the
what's
camera,
going
Dave.
on, bro?
Dave, he really wanted to be on camera.
No, I don't. I'm done.
Mr. Tater Wagon himself.
So what work has to be done at a pull on a Tuesday night before a Saturday show, Brent?
Oh man, I tell you what, I don't know if I can trying to figure out how to run this thing here. Geez, I feel old.
No, we see you just fine.
Old people are like, how do you run this thing? That's kind of what I feel like. Anyway, so I'll just turn it around. Basically, we widened everything out. We got rid of a light pole that was in the way, and we've been doing some new electrical work and getting rid of some overhead wires and putting some wires underground, and that's letting us open this track up to where we can have a big, a lot wider 2-track show. So
now I was explaining to everybody how that track is known for having gobs of traction up there.
Oh yeah. It's we were working with that yesterday. We trenched clear across this thing back here with a trencher and a skid steer, and it was working the crap out of the skid steer there. So it was a slow process getting. We probably trenched I don't know 150 foot probably, and put some wire underground, and it was really working it. That gumbo it's if you're not familiar with gumbo, there's a lot of it on bottom ground, river bottom ground, and that's what this is, and it's sticky stuff.
So it's a low gear track. Bring your low gear sets with you for
it
Bedford.
is. Of course, pretty good friends with the Arctic crew, with the Gone tractor, and that's what I sent a Snapchat earlier the other day to Cody, and he said, so what you're saying is it's going to be low gear, and I said, yeah, there's a good chance. So, but yeah, but no, it's a power track. It's a little bit different. It's firm. I don't know. I like it because it's got a lot of traction, but it's also firm. It's not soft, so it's fast. You get a lot of speed. You'll see a lot of 30. You'll see some 30-mile-an-hour plus passes on this track. So if everything goes right.
How long have you been putting this State Line Showdown on?
Okay, so let me think here. I want to say this is like the 5th year, 4th or 5th year we've been back at it. So we put a show on here in my earlier days, I guess, just a 1-track deal. And then we kind of fired it back up a few years ago, and basically it was just kind of a brush pull. It was after Spencer. It was the weekend after Spencer.
Yeah.
PPL and Outlaw both were, and everybody were done with all their points hooks, but the track is usually pretty good, and the facility's good. We got lots of good parking out here, and pullers like to come here, and so I could get the iron, here to have a great show, but we wanted a better show, and that's kind of where the Outlaws come in. We wanted the glitz and the glamour and the big screen and Ron's beautiful face and voice on the microphone and all that. So anyway, we wanted more of a show. So trying to get more people through the gate, get better attendance that way, and so that's why we opted to have the Outlaw show last year for the first time, and it was a little rough with Mother Nature. Kind of a tough deal, but we got through it with a lot of good help. That's the thing. It's really a lot of work getting the sponsorships, doing all the running and stuff like that to get it going, but the pull goes so easy for us because most of the people putting this on, like Dave Walters and Brett Stamps and myself and some other guys, we all pull. We're all pullers, and so kind of know what to do and where to go most of the time, and make things happen, and hopefully everything goes pretty smooth. So trying to kind of make the facility, puller friendly, things that we would like to see when we go to a pull, that we're trying to keep that in mind. Like this year, we put the new scale pads in. So we've got a couple of brand new smooth 50-foot long scale pads to scale and measure hitch on out here. Put them in the infield. So we've got plenty of room out here to stage. We ought to be able to stage 2 classes for each sled completely before the show even started if we wanted to.
That's
and
awesome.
have them all out here ready to go. So
I've been announcing this show for several years now.
Yeah. How many years have you been here, Rod? I pretty much have had you, I think, since it started, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What, 4 or 5? Something. I'm not sure how many years it's been.
I think it's the 4th or 5th year we've been here, but 2nd year with Outlaw. So
it was a shame last year because it is a fun pull. I always had fun coming up there.
Yeah.
And last year, like you said, Mother Nature, what was it, like a quarter till start time? Mother Nature just unloaded.
It was about right at. It was just dang near right at 6 o'clock. Sun shining all around and one big rain cloud, and that's all it took. Man, it dumped on us. But
and I was just explaining that a little bit ago too. Don't judge that track by what happened there last year, because
no, you'll be sadly mistaken if you do that. No, it's and like I say, as far as pullers, there won't be any shortage of pullers. As a matter of fact, I mean, last I heard, and I've been meaning to call him, but even like for instance, Jeff Parker is from Ohio, got two pro stock tractors from Ohio. He would come to this pull when it wasn't even an Outlaw hook. He would come all the way from Ohio and pull here with us one night and then go back. He likes coming here, which Jeff, is a great guy. They're great guys out there. But we haven't seen much of him this year, but as far as I know, last I heard that they're coming. So
good. I asked about him for somebody the other day, and they said, he had a couple employees quit or something, and he was having to take up the slack. So that's why we haven't seen him.
Now that was the last I heard. I can't confirm that. I was going to call him this week, and I've been busy working here, and I haven't yet. But no, got a lot of them coming. Got a couple of maybe a couple extra 540s rounded up. A lot of breakage in that class. We added that class this year. Didn't have it last year. There were supposed to be, of course, new ones being built and this and that, and there was, and there are, but one or two didn't get done, and another one they're having issues, and it's just that's part of it. We're getting to the end of the season, and things are showing a little fatigue, I think.
But, and that class, when you just have a handful of tractors in a particular class, and you get a little bit of breakage going on, then you're down to
I know it. Yeah. No, that was us last weekend at Buckner. With the semi class, there's just 2 of us because the other 3 or 4 were broke.
We can get those guys to quit racing those things. Racing is so hard on those big trucks.
I've told them that. But I'm hoping. I haven't talked to Joe yet. With his, I know he had some rear end breakage. Nothing that I don't think can't be fixed. It's just if he's got time to fix it and get it here. I'm gonna try to give him a call. Rich was supposed to have parts next day for the binder, sleeves. Been waiting on some custom sleeves for the engine, and so he is supposed to have it here, but I haven't checked his progress yet this week either. Trying to get a couple Minnesota boys to come down with semis, and maybe one from out in Indiana, but we'll just kind of see how it goes. I'm trying, but there's only so much.
How ironic is that, Brent, that the racing is harder on the trucks than it is pulling.
Oh, times 10, yeah. Actually, the drag racing, the bobtail, I don't think is too bad because they spin, but that loaded, 150,000 pounds, dumping clutches and jamming gears at 3,500 RPMs. That ain't nothing going to take that. I mean, for very long, but it's not a matter of if it breaks, it's when it breaks on that deal. But anyway,
the show starts at 4 on Saturday. Now that's Northwest Missouri.
Yep. We're going to start the Northwest classes at 4. We've got 4 of those classes to run. Not huge number of classes, but I would say that'll be an hour. I don't think it'll take an hour and a half. We're going to run both tracks, both sleds on that deal. So we'll be come 6 o'clock. I'm hoping we have a little short intermission. Half hour, 45 minutes or something between that show and the Outlaw show to kind of kind of put things back together a little bit. We'll have our track crew, limbered up and ready to go by then. And when we roll into the Outlaw show, it's going to be drop the hook and rock and roll, I think. So
there's one cost for one ticket for the whole show, though, right?
Yep, $20. Adults, $20 to get in. Kids 12 and under free. Coolers are welcome. So yeah, I mean, we're just out trying to put a good show on here in Southwest Iowa and bring some big iron to this part of the world. And, and I think it'll be a great deal. And I don't think it'll be too stiff for what you're going to see. That's for sure. So
I was just looking at the weather forecast too. It's supposed to be beautiful, and maybe even bring a hoodie with you for.
Yep. They're looking at like 81 degrees and sunny, and get down around in the high 50s maybe in the evening or overnight. So yeah,
Perfect.
It'll be. But man, it's even working here today, even with it's warming up. But there's no humidity, so now, and it's just dry air, so it really doesn't feel that bad. We've been working out here every afternoon, evening, and stuff, awesome. And it's pretty nice. So,
what time do the gates open on Saturday for spectators?
2:00.
Okay.
So, yep, they want to come at 2:00. They can walk around the pits and check things out. More than welcome to do that. Go out and see them drivers and stuff, and check out the machines and take the kids out and that's kind of why we open them up that early, just to give, spectators a chance to go out and see that iron and, and get them kids out there.
When I was a kid, that was one of my favorite things to do, is get there early so I could go take pictures of the trucks and the tractors and talk to the drivers. And I love it. You make time for that. So
nope, that's how we get more people in it, and more people started in it. They get that itch, and everybody was one of those kids at one time. Every puller was. So.
All right, Brent, buddy, we'll see you on Saturday. Gates open at 2:00, starts at 4:00. Outlaw portion of the show starts at 6:00. $20 for adults, 12 and under are free, and coolers are allowed. So,
are you making Michael come with you, or is he busy doing something else?
I think he's going to be ready.
Okay, I didn't want to bring this up, Brent. I'm running a camera. Now, you remember what happened the last time I was taping one of your runs. So you might have to knock my camera stand over or something. So
well, I tell you what, I think hopefully we've got that all ironed out. I don't know. We're going to find out, but I've got all new hood panels and new paint now, so we're hoping we're past that deal. So
you already got it installed.
We'll be up there, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Those gimbals and the sheet metal add character, though, Brent.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I know, but I couldn't take it anymore. So anyway.
All right, buddy. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Brent Roberts with the State Line Showdown there in Bedford, Iowa. Gates open at 2:00. Northwest Missouri Truck and Tractor Pullers pulling on 2 tracks at 4:00. Outlaws pulling on both tracks at 6:00. $20 to get in. 12 and under is free. So awesome. Mike, it's 8:00, buddy. Anything you want to add to the show? Anything inspiring coming up on the end of the season here you'd like to say?
Do you want to run the When the Smoke Clears, or do we want to pick it up next week?
No, we better do it.
Let's get that really quick. I'll hype them up a little bit. When the smoke clears, you'll be looking at a brand new.
Wait, Mike. You know what, Mike? I almost lost my opportunity to drive the tractor this Sunday too. If I would have cut this out of the show.
Oh boy!
You said something. Go ahead.
When the smoke clears, this week's featured driver, the dirt slinging demonstrator, Andrew Meister. Let's take a quick look. So, yeah, when the smoke clears, Andrew Meister, Light Limited Pro stock, calls it the Dirt Slinging Demonstrator. We'll get you his biography really quick. I love those videos where you can see the emotion from the pullers at the end of everything. Dirt Slinging Demonstrator is a Case IH 305 Gold Hood Demonstrator. Not an option, I think, that you can get anymore, but of course, paying homage back to the day when the dealers would come out with the demonstrator editions. It's a Light Limited Pro stock. When Andrew was asked how long he's been pulling, he simply said, all my life. He says his first hook was antique pulling at the county fair on his grandpa's Super M. Says his most memorable hook to toss up between winning Rock Valley or winning at Wisner. You know, Ron, if you can win two places, if you win at both Rock Valley and Wisner, you're doing something right.
Yeah,
so
two big ones there. And, I interviewed Andrew at Wisner and in the winner's circle there. And his little boy he wants our job. He wants our jobs whenever he gets old enough. He wants to be an announcer.
I tell you what, I hope he has it. I hope he has it because I was that kid. When I was a kid, I never thought I would drive one, but I wanted to get up in the booth and talk so bad. And good Lord willing, I was lucky enough. So, I hope that happens. Nothing would make me happier than if that young man grows up to be an announcer. He says
go ahead.
The wildest ride he ever took, he says his hitch broke in Rock Valley and he almost slid right out of his seat. So, Ron, you might be onto something. The seat might have some wiggle room in there.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, one of the questions is, tell us all the points championships you've won. He has not won one yet. So, we're building him up big tonight. Says his pulling hero is Jeff Stratman. That's his uncle who pulls a super farm. And he says Tristan Myers might be his hero a little bit. Tristan Hollywood Myers. He says best advice in pulling: don't beat yourself, just tractor pull. I love that. His day job, he's an ag repair shop owner and an engine dyno shop owner. Naturally, his pulling goals, he wants that national championship. He wants to make it happen. He says the best part about being an outlaw, he says, I met friends over the years I didn't know I needed. He said they pushed me to be the best I can at pulling tractors. And his message to the fans is we as pullers couldn't do this sport without the fans coming to support us. Right. And where to follow on social media, he says, you know what? I'm an in-person kind of guy. He says, I'm not a big social media guy. So if you want to see him, come to the track. Andrew Meister, when the smoke clears, the Dirt Slinging Demonstrator.
Awesome. He's in the driver's seat right now. He's in control of his own destiny. You just got to hang on to that top spot. And holding off Brady Gosler is not going to be an easy task this weekend because it'll be set on kill. I guarantee you. They're going to have.
We're going to see some neat stuff this weekend, Ron. We're going to see some fun pulling.
So cool. And one more thing here. We got one question here. I just wanted to throw this out there. Not really an outlaw thing, but somebody's asking an opinion on the RJ Simon, the Simon brothers, putting it out there that they want to have a big payout pull, like $50,000 per class, 6 classes. I said if they could do it, do it.
Yeah.
I'm always a proponent of trying to put more money back into the hands of the pullers. They're our entertainers. They're the competition. They're our entertainers. They're the ones putting on the show. And I always am a proponent of trying to get them get more money into their pockets. So if they could do it, granted, it is a big entry fee, and
I noticed that, but
they're talking about 40 to 50 per class, running half the class Thursday, half the class Friday, and having the top 10 from each come back for a final, which they're talking about paying 20 spots, so potentially 30 will not get paid. From what I'm seeing, what they're putting out there, that may change. So I think they're just trying to get everybody's temperature feel out, what they feel about it. But if they can do it and people are willing to put the money up, then I say go for it.
They kind of opened up. They picked 5 classes they feel confident about, and then they were kind of asking about what do you think that 6th class would be. And I kind of interpreted that they would want to keep that 6th class in their association, but they never expressly said that. And a lot of people chimed in enthusiastically with some comments of, hey, here's why you should consider our class from our association. So you never know. I mean, it could be one of those. If it's good for pulling, we like it.
Yep, absolutely. Well said. Well said. All right, Mike, thanks for doing When the Smoke Clears, bringing on Andrew Meister. Thanks, Brent Roberts, for coming on. Big time pulls this weekend. We're going to crown some champions Saturday and Sunday in Bedford, Iowa, and the Clay County Fair in Spencer, Iowa. So hey, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for everyone that chimed in with questions and comments. And we'll see you Saturday in Bedford, Iowa. Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Thanks, Ron. Have a good night, folks.